welcome to another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast. I'm your host FOXANNE.
And I am your host Laura, and this is a podcast for creatives by creatives.
This podcast is a mix of realness and feel-good vibes from your two new northern besties.
So today we've got an amazing guest on. We've got Ruth from Kawaii Studios. Ruth, do you want to introduce yourself?
So hi everyone, so I'm Ruth Thompson. I own Kawaii Studios, which is a little small business. So it's an Etsy shop where I sell handmade jewellery made of acrylic, polymer clay. I also sell stickers and a few stationery items. I also am an author, which I really hate saying because it makes me sound a bit self-important, but that's a thing as well.
I love that.
I think you should say that. I think you should lead with that. I'm an author.
I'm an author. Yes. And then my full-time job is I am a content creator and social media manager at a creative agency. So that's a quick rundown of me.
I love that.
This is going to be a good episode.
A woman of many talents.
Yeah, a woman of many talents. She wears many hats, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's a multi hyphenate. That's what people say, isn't it?
Is it?
It's a multi hyphenate, which is basically the idea that like a hyphen between all the things that you do. So they say multi hyphenate, and I always love that. I don't know why. It just is such an abstract term.
I like that multi hyphenate.
I do like that.
Yeah, I've not heard that.
I feel like, but I do feel like it came about a while ago, whereas now everyone isn't like everyone does so much and is so good at everything, and you think, oh wow.
You have to though, like you can't. I feel like
exactly.
knowing this day and age, there's so many talented people that you have to be like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the Met. It's gone.
It's fine. So something that we do speak about with all of our guests, we kind of start from the beginning. So I'd love to know like where you start. I mean, I've just said that sentence. I would love to know like your education. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so sort of just starting from the beginning. So I've always really loved being creative. I was always doing like crafts and stuff. Like my mum's quite creative, so I was always having like crafty birthday parties and things. And then I sort of joined the online community of artists. I don't know whether you guys know of a website called DeviantArt. It's still, so that's still going. So I joined that, and I was sort of doing like digital art and things, and then I moved and sort of rediscovered clay, and this was sort of when I was about sort of like 15-ish was when this was sort of happening. So I sort of moved from DeviantArt onto YouTube and things. So I was sort of going through school, having a YouTube channel, sharing my art on there, and obviously going through. And everything sort of snowballed quicker than expected. And basically I was on YouTube like 2011, so this was when everything was kicking off. You've got your Zoellas, you've got so everything age. Everything was growing, crafts, vlogger, like everything was starting. So once I sort of got to the point where I had to start thinking about what I was going to do with my life, I realised that I loved video editing and I loved owning a shop, but I loved the social, every time a social media came out, I would join it instantly. And I realised that I loved the entire aspect of it. It's not just like I liked creating, I liked making the charms, and then I loved selling them and I loved posting about them. So it got to a point where I was like, I think I maybe want to do like advertising and marketing. So when I'm not sure whether people still do it, but we did 2 work experiences when I was at school, but I'm not sure whether, I think you only have to do 1 now.
Yeah,
I'm not
we
sure.
did one. I worked in a school.
Yeah, I think we did. So in 6th form, I did another one. So very luckily, someone that my mum's boss knew someone at like a craft publishing house, which ended up being my publishers 8 years later. So I did my work experience there for a week, I think it was, and I moved between the departments. It was very small, like I think it's one of the biggest craft publishers in the UK, but it's a really small team, and I basically did something with all of them.
Love
and
that. I wanted to know,
I mostly ended up.
How old are you, if you don't mind us asking?
So
the listeners can kind of put into perspective.
I'm about to be 20. I'm about to be 27. So.
Right. Yeah, because when you said, I joined it when I was a teenager, I was thinking, I wonder how old she is now.
Yeah, I've been sort of doing everything for about 12 years is where I benchmark it, where I sort of joined, that kind of thing. But yeah, I sort of, when I did that, internship, I was mostly with the marketing people, just because they'd seen all my Instagram and stuff, and at this point, like, I was gaining followers very rapidly, and I that's the type of thing. So then I did that, and then I just sort of stayed in contact with them, which ended up obviously 8 years later leading to getting published myself with them, which is obviously a massive full circle thing. So yeah, then I did that, and I realised I loved psychology at school. At uni I did photography, sociology and psychology, which is a lot of ologies and ographies.
Yeah, that is a lot of ologies.
But
too much for
so
me
I realised it was a lot. It was a lot, and thank God for photography to sort of just like balance it all out. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone crazy. But that's what I decided to do at university, because obviously psychology you could take into advertising, you could take it into various different things, and I just couldn't find an advertising. Was I looking? I can't remember whether I was actually looking for advertising, but I just don't think any of the courses they just didn't sound quite right to me. Yeah. Or for me, should I say. And then 1 week before I got my results, I said, Mum, I don't want to do psychology. And I realised that while I absolutely love psychology and I love learning about it, like, the way psychology degrees tend to work is that, like, your first year is basically just like another A level. It's very simple and you just like learn things. And then once you get into like second and third year, you have to, you do experiments, and you do labs and things, and that's not what I do. Yeah. And I realized that, like, I liked learning about psychology of other people, like what other people have done. That's what I like to learn about, and I like to learn how people work. But past that, I was like, I just don't, and and it's quite tough, and also I did not think I was going to do very well in my exams.
How did you do?
Also, I could have gotten in. I did fine. I think
I was going to say that. I had a feeling that you would have done really well.
Yeah, I think I got a B in everything, which is what I needed, I think. But I was convinced, because the psychology exams are crazy. It's like, they're 3 hours long. You have like 6 questions, and then you have to write two essays in that time, or one full essay, and you sit there for like 2.5 to 3 hours.
Oh, I could not sit there for that long.
That makes me feel
and also,
it makes my legs feel a bit weird.
Oh God.
And then and sociology was pretty much the same. I think in the last year it ended up being like 2 hours, and you had to write an essay, and all this kind of stuff. But I am actually fairly good at exams, especially those ones that are like quite structured and things. But but I was convinced I had not done well. So yeah, about a week before the results came out, I said, Mum, really sorry. I know we visited all the universities and stuff, and she took a deep breath and said, that's fine.
Behind gritted teeth.
Yeah,
like,
we don't want, she was like, well, it's good to do it before you go to uni, because a lot of people do go to uni and realise it's not for them, and they have spent a little, quite a bit of money and things. So luckily, obviously, I didn't do that. So then I just panicked, because I was like, I want to go to university. So I panicked and just had a look again at like advertising, media, marketing, all this kind of stuff, and the advertising and marketing things just seemed they didn't seem very creative, which I think was the issue that I was finding. It was sort of like, I'm really interested in it, but it's not like it would be, I'm going to take this photo for this advert. It'd be like, what's the copy and why does it, do you know what I mean? And so I found a course that was called Mass Communications, so MASS, lots of people. Everyone always thinks I say maths, and that's not.
Mass communication.
Absolutely not something I would be able to do, because maths was not my strong suit. And it was basically a course where you just did a bit of everything. So you did film, advertising, like sort of sociology, psychology. What else would we do? Just a big like range of things across the year. So you'd either be studying film or you'd be shooting film, and then you do psychology and media as a general thing.
Cool.
So
I like the sound.
wonder you're a jack of all trades.
And then, but unfortunately, when I was at uni, there wasn't like modules on social media. It started to like come in, but it wasn't like an official. I don't know whether it is now. I would love to know whether it is part of modules in university.
It must be, because it's such a big part of our lives now. And like,
what year did you start uni? What year are we talking here?
Oh wait, it would have been So I finished in 2016. So I know it was 3 years. So I started in 2013. So you're looking at just are, you know, YouTube is still booming, like really booming. You've got people making money, because 2011 is when it sort of started. People have figured out how to make money. Influencer marketing it's really weird, because my timelines, I always think my years are crossed, because when I say 2013, I think, but 2011 was like the height of YouTube, and you just think it's been around for so much longer than that. But yeah, so it was sort of, it wouldn't have been put in modules necessarily, but like it was part of, like, if I think we did a project one time that was like, how would you sell this thing or whatever, and it was like, well, we're gonna have an Instagram, and I think I mocked up an Instagram of some kind, but past that there really wasn't anything.
So you sort of had to say that within the work, it wasn't required for you to do it on social media. It was sort of like, here's the brief, and then you were like, well, I'm going to put it on social media. Like, it was your decision.
It was, and I think for that project, it wasn't even a question. Like, it was like, well, everyone's, you know, if you're making a brand or whatever it might be, you're like, it's going to go on social media as well. But I can't remember what they gave us to sell now. It's scarily a very long time ago now. So I can't really remember. But yeah, it wasn't, so it was a really great course in that, like, I was never bored. You're always doing loads of things.
Oh, yeah.
I had one exam. That was I had one exam.
How long was it?
And it was open book.
Wait, what is this? What does that mean?
So you have a textbook with you.
What in the? It's basically going into an exam with a cheat sheet.
And people still failed.
I mean, baffled.
So
but okay.
it was journalism. So journalism I absolutely loved doing. So one of the modules was journalism, and we had to do a module on the legal side of it, like libel and slander and things, so that, like, you know, what you can and cannot say about people, and what you can slyly say about someone without and still get away with it, not get sued and things. So
I'd love to know all
basically,
that.
It was so, and all of the case studies are hilarious, because it's always something hella saucy, like really saucy, that has gotten out, and someone is panicking and trying to sue the hell out of everyone, and you just think, ooh.
I think I found my new hobby.
Can you share any sources with us?
No, there was one. There was one that was like, and I really hope I'm getting this correct, because but it was something like, this guy was, I want to say, like an F1 boss or a football boss, or he was high up in a male-dominated sports something or other, I think. And it had gotten out that he liked domineering lady people that he may or may not pay, you know, some dominatrix here and there, and it came out. I think it came out through one of them that he also liked dressing up in like Nazi uniforms when said situations were happening, or that he owned a collection of them and had like again, this was a very long time ago, and I could be speaking out of my arse, but I remember that one specifically.
I mean, I don't have an issue with the dominatrix, because if I'm being honest, I would love to be a dominatrix. I would thrive in that environment.
Well,
however,
maybe
it's the Nazi costume that I have the issue with.
Yeah, and the situation is, again, it's a long time ago and I can't remember everything, but the situation is, you know, if something is the truth, then you can't sue, you know, you can sue for like mental mental health damages if it's come out and you have literally, you know, received death threats and blah 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 blah, or if it's like public, or if it's something like the public should know about it. Say, you know, you're a vegan who totes veganism, and it turns out that you eat like 5 cows a week, and someone has managed to get hold of this information. Like there could be a case for that should be public knowledge, because there is an instance that the public should know about that, because it's detrimental to them and their belief. But so very fascinating. But that was the exam. It was open book, because I guess it was legal, and so
I think I would have loved that exam.
Yeah.
I don't like exams.
I think like the whole psychology. So I was really into psychology. So when I was studying art at college, I looked into like the Stanford prison experiment and like stuff like that.
Which is so fascinating.
Because it was about, like, I did my projects about mental health and like human nature and the way that people do things.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was brainier than what I am, with me, I struggle to retain information. So anything that's ever so slightly academic,
not for you.
I can't retain.
Whereas,
the information.
I'm the opposite. If I read a textbook, I can, it takes a lot of repetition, but in general, like, I will be able to remember facts and dates and get that down.
That is so
my
amazing.
best friend can't. Yeah. I haven't used it particularly well, but
I just can't retain any kind of information. That's why I'm the best person to tell secrets to, because I'll just forget.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Unless it's on record.
Unless it's on film. Yeah.
Then I graduated.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So that was 2016 April, because again I had no exams. Oh yeah, we're talking about exams and things, weren't we? But yeah, so I had no exams, which makes it sound very easy, but I had like 4 modules, and each one would, you know, in my final year I was like making a film, writing a mini dissertation, so I didn't have a full dissertation either, but I had, that's like 6,000 words for one module in 8 things, so like it was a fair amount of stuff in the end. But then graduated April 2016. I finished earlier than everyone because, like I said, no exams. And
I was
then
the same.
I got
that same year as well.
I know.
It was great. Loving life.
And then and then I got an internship in that September. I started working there December, and I've been there ever since.
Oh wow! So I'm still that same job.
I'm technically still in my first job, if you don't cast, you know, having a shop and you know, that kind of thing, and Saturday jobs. Yeah, I'm technically, this is my first proper job. I'm still pinning it.
Wow. Have you worked
Which
your
is always
way
a
up?
lovely story. Yeah, so basically I've been there 5.5 years now. So I started as a social media social media marketing intern or something, and there was 3 of us in the company, including me.
Wow.
So very small.
Yeah.
And then that sort of entailed a little bit of social media. I was managing the Tweezerman, the Tweezers brand.
Oh yeah.
Tweezerman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was managing their UK Instagram and things. And then I was also doing photography, so I was doing all of the photography for this as well. And then our company sort of started moving away from social media, and I was like, oh, bummer, but like it's great here, so I'll stay. So I ended up then being a photographer, and that lasted like for 3 years, I guess, 3 years, I think. But it got to a point where I was like, I'm just not passionate about being a photographer. There were lots of stuff I loved about it, and I love like retouching, I love, you know, and I did love taking a lot of the photos, but like I'm just not, like the passion wasn't there, and it just got to a point where it was quite obvious that like someone better could be doing this job, and I would prefer to be in social media. So our company started growing, we moved off. The funny part of it all is that I joined so it's basically fragrance and beauty is the space we're in, and we sort of have a partner company in the US who we basically work with a lot of US celebrities to create their brands, perfumes, makeup, that kind of thing, and then we have some like UK people as well. So when I joined, I did 3-month internship, and then the week I got hired, my boss just sauntered over to me, bearing in mind the room was like, it's smaller than a bedroom.
I'm
so
nervous.
You had to take about 2 steps.
I feel like I know
and he
what
was
you're
like,
gonna say.
oh yes, no, but he was like, so we've just landed the Kim Kardashian contract.
I knew you were going to say big celeb. I was thinking Rihanna.
I was like,
Kim
I beg your
Kardashian,
pardon?
wow.
Like, excuse me. But literally, we were sitting in an office in a building that we were surrounded by a different company. It's just 3 of us, and I literally was like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that again. What did you just say? And then so I'm the person that did like the first mood boards for like the Kim Kardashian, you know, the first crystal, and it was like, okay, this is really random. And then obviously it just snowballed from there, and then.
So what were your responsibilities for this specific launch? Like, did you have to take pictures of it? Like, did you, like, what was it that you did?
So I think I was doing mood boards. I think I was doing a little bit of photography, but the thing about Kim is that she comes with her own army of people. So actually we don't do the social media for Kim Kardashian. She does it herself, because she's obviously, it's under the bigger brand, and she has people for that. So that one we don't, you know, I didn't have much of a role in that one, but I was in some of the packaging meetings when we wanted to do, you know, trying to see something different, try to see what was on the market for packaging and things, because I was there, so, and you know, the office was so tiny that, you know, I get to see pretty much the process of everything. But yeah, so that was September. That would have been the December-ish of 2016.
Is this company looking for a remote graphic designer by any chance?
So you knew you were in the right industry when you
yeah, and I love, you know, and I love I'm not so much a fragrance person, hilariously, but like makeup, beauty, I've always loved it. So it was definitely like that's where I knew I wanted to be in terms of like career it would have been pretty much that or crafts, obviously, and beauty just got there first. So I moved, but now I am, obviously with everything growing, I sort of did a very silent, sometimes not quite so silent effort to get myself back into social. So now, full circle, my title now is social media manager and content creator, or the other way around.
Love it.
I think it's social media, then it's content. So I still make content, I make reels, I edit everything, I edit stuff from the shoots, I manage retouch images, but I also do the whole gamut, calendars, copy, managing the celebs and what they post and things. So
that's a full-on job.
It's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot.
That's intense.
That sounds like a great job though, because
you've
no day, like you said, no day's the same. And
I've had some bonkers days. I've literally done I did 23 hours in a row one day, and some of that was literally me getting filmed washing my hair in a shower. Like, it's all hands on deck. Like, it just
with like social media content creation.
Yeah, it was a really long, we were editing, so I was doing the video edit of a really long, what's it called? Like a video that gets sent out, say if your product goes into like Boots, a training video. So it's like a big video for the workers in Boots to then consume, to understand when the new product comes in, like how to sell it and stuff. I was videoing that, and it was like, oh yeah, they want video of, someone washing their hair, because it's a training video and people don't have budgets, and we make it work. And so me and my colleague just went back to her flat and filmed me in the shower, and then it needed to be delivered the next day at like 8:30 a.m. So I just kept going until and I delivered it literally at like 9. I think I delivered, no, not 9. No, maybe it was like, I think the training was at 9:30 and I delivered it at like 8:30 a.m. And I was meant to be at the training, and I just went, nope, I'm not doing that.
Surely though, like, they know how to wash their own hair. Like, they don't need to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a funny story, but it was a long old day. But like I said, I always tell that story because it's like, I love the fact that like, anyone that joins our company, you are a hand model. I will get you in a picture, or now our photographer will get you in a picture. I've done hair, I've done, I was on the Kim Kardashian website with my hands for a while. Like, it's just one of those things that like,
God.
it's just you just get stuck in everywhere.
You just
but
said
yeah,
that so casually.
That
like,
was the
I was on the Kim Kardashian website with my hand for a while. I thought,
do not brush past that.
You should have started with that.
I love
it.
jobs that are like so like multifaceted, that they just kind of get you in, because like you said, no day's the same. You don't necessarily gonna get bored of doing that the same thing day in,
and obviously
day
different shoots, and we do lots of high production. Obviously when I was the photographer, I was more involved in things, but we're doing full shoots and hair shoots and for across, and we have obviously UK brands as well, but so it's a really interesting job, and you only sort of step back and you realise, my goodness, like it's a very interesting time to look back at like 5 years of like all the stuff that you've done,
because I guess
that's sort of
I guess social media and like the world has changed so much within like just 5 years that you've obviously had to adapt and like learn as you've been going on with your job. Like at the beginning, TikTok wasn't a thing, and now you've had to start creating things for TikTok.
Which like I said, it's one of those things that like, I think people ask, like, so every now and again I meet people out and about, and they want to do my job, which is so flattering, and they say things like, what did you do at uni? And I always think, well, I did this, and it was helpful in that, I could say that I did a broad range of things, but also I feel like the degree I did also meant you left and you still didn't know what you wanted to do, because you only did things for like a term or even less than a term. So I think like with all of my extracurricular, as I like to call it, all of the stuff that I was doing, like I was able to prove that I was passionate about social media and like good at it. I was good at it. And I honestly think I probably could have gotten my job without it, and I don't know the market right now, but I would also say that you could probably not go to uni, but you would have to have a social presence and prove that passionate, good at it, understood it, etc., all that kind of stuff. So actually they work hand in hand really well. Like I started TikTok for my shop, and then we ended up getting one of the top 5 most followed people on TikTok as a client. I'm usually learning from the shop, and then it gets applied to my work, and every now and again it's like vice versa and things, because obviously I get opportunities, especially with we now have a TikTok star. We get like a little bit more information on TikTok things as well, but in general they work like really well hand in hand. And I don't know whether I would have said I because I got into, you know, my offers for uni was accepted very quickly as well, and I think that's down to the fact that, you know, everyone always says you need to have like, you know, sports or extracurricular things, and I could prove that, you know, I wasn't just like I wasn't just a boring person, I suppose. You know, I was doing things outside of it. I was creative. I was, you know, passionate about things. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I love that I went to uni, but it's like, did I need to?
We've said this as well. I don't think I needed to for what I'm doing now. I'm glad I did.
But it's so interesting, and I'm glad I did as well. But there are lots of, but then also there are now probably courses that have social media in them, like social media marketing.
Yeah. See, the thing is as well with social media and uni, if you're going to do a module on social media, things change so much. The curriculum must have to change every year because, or even every month, really. Like, what works one week doesn't work the next week. And it's always changing,
I don't even know how you would do a module unless it's just a module in general of like, or it's a it's a psychological one, because like there must be like social media addiction modules, and you know that must come up in psychology nowadays, surely. So I think but it must be coming in, but it's been a long time obviously since I've been at uni, so I was, like I said, sort of just doing it off my own situation.
Obviously. I mean, if you study in marketing, surely you've got to have a social media module in there, or like a mention social media. Yeah, you've got to.
Unless it's, if it's digital marketing, there's no way that you could skip social media. There's literally no way.
I feel like you already sort of explained how you got into it, but how did you like start Kawaii Studios?
So I had used polymer clay when I was a kid, because you know, my mum would get sets and I would do it with my, you know, one of my oldest friends, Hannah. Like we would sit on her kitchen table, and I like still have some of the things I made like when I was like 11. So it's always sort of been around and things, and then I joined DeviantArt, and I was doing like anime drawings and like chibis, a different type, and it's sort of that like cute kawaii. So then I learned about kawaii as a genre of art, which, if you don't know what kawaii is, it's basically cute in Japanese, and it's basically come to mean, you know, short, round, cute, big eyes, putting eyes on inanimate objects, pastels, rainbows. You know, that you definitely would be able to sort of like recognize it if you saw it.
And I get that. I like that it's cute.
Yeah. So that's what it means in Japanese, and it sort of falls under the sort of anime. They're all sort of in kind of the same sort of area kind of thing. So I was doing those artworks. I'm not a great artist or a digital drawer or anything, but I was doing those. It's not my strong suit anyway, but I still do it. I
think you're great.
But so I joined there, and just through that community there's like groups and things, and then I sort of found there's something called Decoden, which is another Japanese thing, which you must have seen it, which is where you make like phone cases look like they're covered in like icing, and they've got like fake food on them. You've seen those? Yeah. So that is sort of called Decoden, which is sort of, again, roughly translated, you know, decoration, that kind of thing. And so I found that, and I was obsessed with it because I just loved it. That's ridiculous and tacky and amazing. And when I was growing up, and still now, my mum had a doll's house, like a really gorgeous doll's house. It's like 1/12th scale. And I would see, and we'd go to these doll's house fairs, and she would make things herself and things. And I would see these people making like really realistic food out of polymer clay. And it all sort of started adding up. And I basically found, you know, and then people would make the clay things to go on the cases, and that's sort of how I entered back into clay. And then from DeviantArt went over to YouTube, and then, like I said, it was like 2011. The community was incredible. We're all sharing everything we're making. We're doing tutorials.
So
we're
is
getting
that what
ideas
you were doing,
off each other,
like crafts tutorials? This is what I've made. That's what you
so it was like we do like charm updates. So you would be making like charms. So you put an eye pin in like everything.
Are your videos still live?
Oh yeah, the account. My YouTube is still there. It's unfortunately the thing that slips when everything gets a bit crazy, obviously.
I would love to watch one of those videos.
It's all still up. Well, how old have we gone? There are my oldest ones, I'm not sure, are alive still, but yeah, I mean, I was young as well. I was like 15, so I have like videos of me dating back like quite far.
What's your YouTube channel called, just so that I can have a little search tonight?
So I started as XOX Rufus, so Rufus is my nickname. Don't go there.
Love that.
It just is. So it was XOX Rufus, which don't ask, that's just what happened. But then I sort of made a conscious decision about 2-3 years ago that now Kawaii Studios was like a brand in itself. I've changed. I think it's just called like Kawaii Studios Shop now or something, so that everything is cohesively branded and that you know where I am and stuff.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it was like tutorials, talking, videos, talking, you know, reviewing things. Like I kept in contact with the publishers, so they'd send me books and I'd do reviews or I'd do a tutorial from it, that kind of thing. And then one day someone was like, oh, do you sell your things? And I was like, of course not. I'm like 15 and why would anyone want anything that I'm making? That's ridiculous. And then a couple of people kept asking, and obviously Etsy was in the air, and I was like, oh well, if people are going to ask, I'm obviously going to do it. And I'd sort of been approached. This is when you could make money on YouTube, so it was all sort of starting to come around.
Very nice. We love the sound of that.
Yeah, and then I started in Etsy, and it was like, you know, charged just pennies, like nothing. Obviously the fees were nothing what they are now. There was like 2 fees. Now there's like 6, and they are astronomical, obviously.
It's ridiculous.
And then it snowballed from there, and again it was going throughout school, and then every social, and I started growing very heavily on social media, and people people found out at school, and they tried to have a go, and then by the time it got to sixth form, those same, excuse my French, shitty guys were in the pub asking me to shout them out on Instagram because I had followers.
Love shit like that.
That is the
absolutely
best.
Funny.
So they were taking the piss out of you, to be fair,
like I was worried about it, like, not that I was that popular or anything, but I was in a very big school. There's like 3,000 kids in my school, so like if something got out, you could quite rapidly get, it was fine, but I was a little bit worried. I didn't tell people, and then it sort of came out, someone knew, and then I think people sort of try, but I'm not the type that I would be too embarrassed about something, to be honest. And again, it was getting to that point, not that you should be embarrassed about something if it's not successful, because success is whatever you wanted to make it, obviously. But yeah, then I think it's sort of, and then the next week they'd forgotten about it.
I think
and then but then I had literally
it easier to I don't know how to say this without sounding like a complete arsehole. So I think people
I know exactly
find
what you're
it
say.
less cringy if you are speaking to an audience.
Yeah.
That's already there.
That's already there. Like, I know that.
So you're not just speaking to yourself like a loser.
Yeah. But like now,
think,
I know that I feel a lot more confident speaking on my stories because I do have the following there.
Yes.
Whereas when I didn't have the following there, I felt like, oh my god, people are going to think that I'm like such an idiot that I only have like 300 followers and I'm speaking to someone.
Yeah. You gotta fake it till you make it though.
Yeah, like legit.
Yeah, because I don't know whether you guys have heard that TikTok sound that's like let them cringe. Have you heard
that? Yeah. I love that so much.
I love that sound, and I think that applies so, and even more now because like getting a following is so much harder. Just talk to air. Just honestly, I go on live sometimes and I am just talking to myself. Like it is the way it goes. But yeah, so like by the time I got to sixth form, I was quite. Well, I'd gone viral at that. No, had I gone viral at that point? No, I hadn't gone viral on Instagram at that point. And then, actually, that was years later.
We need to talk about this because I've only really like discovered you since we've been doing the podcast, and you shouted at the podcast, and I was like, oh my god, who's this? She's amazing. And I saw like obviously that you've got all the followers, but I didn't know how you got there. So was it sort of gradual, or did you go viral? Like I feel like maybe you went viral.
So this is. My whole like numbers and following is fascinating, to be honest. So we all know obviously the algorithm changed 4 years ago, 5 years ago or something like that. So how I got there, so I have about 95k right now on my Instagram. Insane. I actually managed to hit 121. So basically I left for uni, and let's be honest, I had to be at uni like maybe 2 days a week. Literally maybe 2 days a week. So I was still doing the shop, and it was like I didn't necessarily realise at the time. I was obviously grateful and I realised, but now where I am, I was getting like 60 orders in a drop. I would release stuff.
That's
and
amazing.
I got like, which to me is absolutely insane. But it was basically like I was running it full time because I didn't have a job. I had all the time in the world to be filming things and I was posting every single day on Instagram at uni. Every single day.
That's the dream.
So I was growing at least 1,000 followers every single week for like a year. Obviously losing and gaining at the same time, but like there were weeks where literally consistently 1,000 followers. Like literally, it was like I call it like the golden age of Instagram.
That's
before the
unheard of
algorithm,
now.
When you're actually when you're actually seeing things you want to see because you follow the people. Like it was, and not to say that like it was so much easier, because I was posting every single day, which was very tough even at uni with nothing to do, obviously. So basically I managed to grow to 121k, which is insanity, obviously. And then slowly but surely, unfortunately, life smacked me in the face. So you had like the algorithm change, full-time job, things changing, the shop, I sort of took it quite seriously at uni because there wasn't, anything else to sort of do. And then, you just have to make compromises because that's the thing. The shop is always, whatever I was doing in my life, whether it was school, uni or work, they all come first. The shop is always second. That's just how I have to live my life to make sure that things are working, obviously. So yeah, I'm at 95 now. I had 121. I lose about 1,000 followers every 2 months. I have in the last 4 or 5 years, I have never gained more than I have lost in like any period of time ever. If you look at them daily, possibly.
Why do you think that is? Why are so many people unfollowing? Is it like, I would take that as like a massive like hit to my ego.
I would.
Yeah. So
you should.
Yeah. So this is the struggle, because like I was at like a craft fair recently. It doesn't really get sort of mentioned, everyone I know knows about my stuff and they're not really that interested about numbers and things, but I was at a craft fair recently, sort of started to do fairs this year, and everyone's like, oh, what's your Instagram? And I was like, I just hadn't really thought about this, and I didn't want to tell them my Instagram because I knew they were going to see that number, and that number means, sorry for my French, fuck all. It means absolutely nothing. It literally means nothing. And as expected, she was like, no, and then she literally was acting like I was a celebrity or something, and it was obviously not to her, obviously her fault, but I felt so uncomfortable because I was like, and I sort of tried to be like, oh, it's, years and years of, but it's so hard to explain like years of hard work and then situational algorithm job, blah 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 blah. And so it just makes me I hate that number. If I could literally just get down to the people that actually care about my content, and that ends up being 2,000 people, I would prefer to have that number sit there, because it's just a useless number. And I think the situation is that I obviously grew so quickly, and my audience is kind of interesting in that some people have literally been following me since they were like 11. Like I get messages from people who are like, or people who literally have come across me back on TikTok and they're like, oh my God, I used to follow on YouTube. This is such a blast from the past. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still there.
That's so cute. Oh, isn't that
so obviously
that warm your heart?
Yeah, it makes me feel old, but it's lovely. But then genuinely, I have people who have followed me like for 10 years, like literally. And but obviously some people, grew up. Some people, were kids when they were following me, and crafts is not a part of their life anymore, and polymer clay is not a part of their lives anymore. Yeah. So like gradually I would expect people to sort of come off, and and YouTube, unfortunately, like it's there, but it's just not really, obviously I can't keep up with YouTube in the state that it's in. Obviously I would not look at someone's following. I genuinely, I actually don't think I do. Like I look at it and I'm intrigued by it, but I'm still of the generation where I go onto someone's page and they've got like 3,000 followers, and I think I should be 6 times as much as it is. But why is 3? Like, not in a rude way, but I'm like, in my head I'm still like, well, that's bonkers. Like you should. It's just, yeah, but it's so hard, and and obviously remember I was also online when it wasn't as busy and everyone wasn't an influence, not in a rude way, but everyone wasn't an influence. Everyone. Also, you've got pandemic. There are now like 50 times more small businesses than there used to be.
Yeah.
But also people have gotten over the whole being embarrassed by selfies, and they're also being vain and amazing online at the same time. It's just one of those things that like people see that number, and I would just urge people to remember that nothing's real. Like I can literally show you my graphs. It is there on Instagram. Obviously, if you gain followers, it's like above the line in blue. I'm never above. Everything is literally just down. It just depends on how many I lose a day. But it's just one of those
that
things that, like,
so sad.
I find it interesting though, because I think people do look at follow accounts and they're like, oh my god, and like brands will look at people like they don't work with anybody with less than 10k followers, but then
but you would be surprised, you know, sort of the trend over the last few years is it doesn't matter about how many, you know, so you've got your micro influencers, your macro influencers, your mini macro micro mini, and if you're, so what I've learned also with celebrities is it's the engagement rate is what you really should be looking at. And engagement rate is based on how many interactions you have with your pieces of content and your following, and it's a number that people get to looking at the whole of your thing. So someone literally with and obviously it works, you know, 1 million people, less of those people will be engaged because that's just a crazy amount of number. But you could literally have 10,000 followers and be able to sell a product better than someone with 5 times as many followers as you, because your followers actually care about you and care about your content.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it as well. And I think
this person they're not personable, they're just, and I don't mean to be rude, but you know, they're just hot. You know, they have followers because they're attractive. Or the other way around, or they have followers because they're funny, but people aren't going to buy that product because they're there to listen to your comedy. They're not. Do you know what I mean? There's so many factors. I have a very healthy relationship with social media, which is quite bonkers considering, you know, I'm on it all the time, etc. But like I consider myself having a better relationship than most people do with it, because I have. Okay, it's definitely not all great. You know, there have been some very dicey moments over the last, you know, few years or so, but like. It can be such a positive place, but you just always have to remember to just assume everything that you're viewing isn't real, or not even not real, because you know it could be a positive thing, but it's
more
not the truth
to it
in general.
It's like
there's
the tip
more
of the
to
iceberg.
it. Like, and I literally I've seen the behind the scenes. Like, not that, you know, we like lie on social media, but like, you know, people put selfies up because they feel like crap and they look good, and then that person sees that and thinks, oh, they look good and they must be so happy, and it's like, well, no, that person's actually just done it, which is fine, you know, validation isn't necessarily an issue.
I think there
it's
needs
just
to be
part of
like transparency through it though. That's what's being missed, and it's like there's a lot of people who are influencers that are being like, oh my god, like let's promote body positivity and stuff, but then they won't, and this might be a hot take, they won't openly admit that they've got surgery done, which I think you can't promote body positivity and be like, oh, we should accept ourselves in our own skin, but then not disclose what surgery you've had done. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it gets so dicey.
Like, obviously you don't have to tell anybody that you've had surgery, but then don't be like, everybody should love ourselves the way that we are. Yeah, but you've had like liposuction, you've had a nose job, you've had your teeth done, you've had Botox everywhere, which I don't have an issue with having. Like, I would love to get my lips done, that's fine, but I would openly be like, I've had my lips done. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a great Rochelle Humes, is it?
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. So she was on Steve Bartlett's podcast, and because this is because now we're at a point where everyone's being pressured to be. Transparent's a different word. Being pressured to always be talking about your mental health and what's going on and political things. Yeah, and she was really, really, really good, because she was like, what did she say? She was like, my Instagram is like my home. I keep it tidy. When you come to my house, I'm not in tears. I'm not telling you the baby's done this and that. I'm not putting on Instagram that he's just puked everywhere. Like, which I understand is like, as someone who cares a great deal about the aesthetics of social media as well. She was like, it's like my house. I may choose to tell you that I've had a bad day the day after, but I'm not grabbing my phone to tell you that I'm in tears. And, you know, and you know, people are asking me to talk on topics like politics, and it's like, well, I have a blue tick now. I am uncomfortable talking about things, but now I'm pressured to always be showing the bad things and to always be talking about things that matter. And she's like, but actually, you know, it could be someone's safe haven. They only want to put out the good things, and it's not necessarily their responsibility. Yeah. The person consuming the content should also be aware, you know, which, you know, it's not exactly something taught in schools and stuff, but you should have an awareness that even if you see someone's page that's beautiful, it's not their responsibility to tell you that their life isn't perfect, even though their feed is beautiful. You know, it's that really tricky situation where like transparency works really well, and it works like in terms of, you know, sales, you know, transparency and being open and having a personality online, but then it's getting to a point where actually everyone can't do everything, and some people don't want, you know, some people go to Instagram because they want to post beautiful things and they want to post good memories, and maybe they are struggling behind the scenes, and it's not, you know, and it's, we can't judge them for them not.
But then
it's so tricky.
Yeah, but then there is this level of like give and take. So if your Instagram account is 100% just like pretty pictures, you look great in a bikini, like that's amazing, that's fine. But I feel like you can't preach about body positivity or body this or body that and then not be fully transparent, because then that seems very like performative.
Yeah, but I think that's that's a very specific part of social media that not everybody follows.
No.
Like I follow certain people like Sophia and Chinzia, like all they have on their feeds is like them looking beautiful, and that's fine, and I understand that their lives aren't like that, but like if I ever did get to a place where I was like, I don't want to, like I'm feeling like shit, then that's my responsibility to be like, right, maybe this isn't right for me, I'll mute them. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's, you know, like you said, it's your responsibility to know that that isn't real, but if you do struggle with it, it's also your responsibility to take that away. Because
it's impossible.
Yeah.
But I like, my best friend will literally do detoxes. She'll get to a point where she's realised she's been scrolling on TikTok for 2 hours and it's 2 a.m, or she feels, or someone, you know, something's making her feel bad, and she will delete every single app off her phone, and she'll do it for about a week straight, and then she'll come back and, you know, like, and you know, I was literally at Bottomless Brunch and a girl was telling me how, you know, how bad she was feeling about social media, and I was like, then delete the app. And she was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I was like, but she was like, you work in social media, and I was like, yeah, and I have a great time on social media. Like I have, again, there's been issues and personal, you know, boundaries have been, sometimes aren't the greatest, but like in general, I have an incredible time on social media. Granted, I am a thin white, you know, straight woman, so I have a lot of privilege when I go on there. Everyone looks like me, and you know, I'm quite secure in myself, and obviously that comes from a very privileged place to be able to say that I have a positive time on social media, obviously. But it's like, then follow people that make you feel good, or just get, you know, and I literally convinced her. She was like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to delete it. And I was like, yeah, like it's not healthy for you, but obviously that's so hard to do.
It's almost like it's so part of our lives that like even though it's making us feel like shit, it's almost like impossible to even feel like that's an option.
Well, and also you're stuck, because then the FOMO of you not being able to see what other people are doing will also make you feel bad. It'll make you feel isolated, it'll make you feel lonely, because that's the thing I hate that phrase, whatever it is. It's like social media is actually making us less so, you know, there was that bloody poetry video that went round way back when, and it pops up every now and again on my Facebook, about a guy saying like, it actually makes us more distant, and like that's never been my experience. Like my best friend I have met 3 times, and she knows every single detail of my life. Like,
that's more what's than, so amazing. I love social media.
Like I've only ever had, it's one of those things where it's like I've had some really bad times, but also like I joined communities. I didn't join to follow people I wanted to be like. I joined to be with friends, and I joined to share my art, and it's just a much more positive space to be in when you're online, which obviously you shouldn't be forced to be part of a craft community, obviously, but it just means that my experience with social media, and also that I just love marketing, etc., obviously, it's very different to someone who has joined to like look at friends or look at colleagues or school friends or whatever it might be.
Because I guess
so
sorry, I was just going to say, like, we've all met on social media. We met on social media, now we're in live friends, and we're having this conversation because of social media. Like,
exactly.
It's great.
Whereas like literally I would grow up and I have so many friends from social media, and I would talk to people in real life, and I talk to, like, you know, my real friends is what I would have to call my friends in real life. And you know, there would be some kind of rude comments from people about, oh, is that just your online friend, or is that like the weird people you met online? And you think, and not even in a horrible way, but you know, you have different levels of friends. Like those people at many times in my life have known me better than most of my friends.
They're still real people.
Everyone's busy and different types of people, but there was like a group of friends at uni. Like I'd just gone through like a really bad breakup and stuff, and I was spending like my birthday alone, and like one of my friends, who was literally a woman in Hawaii with 2 kids, you know, who was a very close friend, like literally organised like a group of like, I think it ended up being like 15 people who all handcrafted me birthday gifts and then sent it in one big package. And I'm not someone that gets emotional. I don't cry at anything, like nothing at all. And this nearly got me. I was like, I've just been sent these things from people who've never met. Like, she's in Hawaii. These people are in Canada and the US, and they had sent, they'd all handmade me birthday gifts. And I opened it. Literally, those videos are still up. I opened them on camera, and I was, and you just think back, and you just think like, I just cannot say that social media is like the devil, because it's not for everyone, and it could be a very, very, very positive place if you, and not to say that I don't sit on TikTok for 4 hours straight and think, oh my god, I've wasted my life and I'm a slug and I'm sat here and stuff. Slug. But but you do. You're like, yeah. But it's one of those things that, like, I just, it's always just been very, it's always, even in the worst times, it's still not, it's still worth it for me, for the things I get out of it and the people I've met and stuff. But that's just not, that's not the case for sort of normal users. And again, it's just all about comparison. Like I said, you just do not know what people are doing, going. You don't know what their graphs look like behind the scenes, because I can tell you mine looks very sad.
That's it. And I think as well, like when it comes
sad.
to like social media and stuff, you sometimes can't, like you said, the comparison culture that we do have. There was some people who I followed on Instagram, but I actually had muted because I just could not, like, every single time I saw the post, I was comparing myself to them, and I was like, why are they doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm working just as hard and I can't get that. And then, like, you find out later on that they have financial help, they have emotional help, they have this help and that help, and I'm like, and then it kind of puts it into perspective as well.
Yeah, and you can look at someone and think, oh my god, they've gotten 10,000 likes, and they're sat there like, I needed 20. Why did I not get 15? But I would also say, like, even just the way that it works, like, likes and things are not what is pushing the algorithm and stuff. So, like, it's just, and also it's like, especially on TikTok as well, you see these videos of people going viral and that's it. Like, they now have a warehouse, they've quit their job, and like, that's not how it works.
No, it's not.
Literally, you can go viral and nothing can happen. Like, I went depending on your definition, semi-viral. And
is this on Facebook?
So I think I got to...
Oh, sorry, Instagram. Sorry, I meant to say Instagram.
Yeah, so sort of back to the journey of Instagram. So I have right now four Instagram accounts, 3 Instagram accounts, personally.
Yeah.
I used to have 5. I have a lot of Instagram accounts. So I have like a personal one. I have like a blogging one, because
with your outfits, I love that one. Let them cringe.
Yeah, exactly. Which I've just popped back on, which was dead for about a year. And then I have the shop one, which is like products, blah blah blah. And I used to have one that was still XX Rufus, which I wanted Kawaii Studios to be beautiful, and I wanted XX Rufus was like the behind the scenes and the making videos, and this was before reels and things, where sort of like, and also before the trend of actually it's good to have it all in one place because people want to see the behind the scenes. This was back where aesthetics was over, that kind of thing.
It was so like that for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. So then this was before reels, so I have no idea how I went viral, but I ended up with 10 million views on the stupidest video ever. So obviously I make miniature food. Yeah. So you can get like these tiny little, they're called canes, where they come in like a long strip, and they are made, you might have to Google it, it's very hard to explain, but it's like a cane, and you basically slice it, and you've got like a little slice of strawberry. It's like, it looks like the inside of a strawberry, basically.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You've probably seen it in slime and resin, and it's across the board. So those are usually made out of polymer clay, and you can make them yourself, but absolutely not. It's a nightmare.
I know, I tried making it, so I used to have a jewellery side hustle as well, and I tried to make them myself, and I was like, nope.
I don't even know what you're on about. I'll have to have a Google.
You have got to be a special type of person. Crazy, in my opinion. But anyway, it's an art form. But I was cutting them. It was maybe like 7 seconds, and it was like a macro shot of me cutting them. And obviously, like, to a normal person, you have no idea what's going on. It's a tiny strawberry. I understand sort of why it went viral, but considering what it was, 10 million views. And that was about, so I was working, so that was probably about 4 years ago. So reels weren't a thing. you could only do video on feed and things, and it was like 10 million views. Like people were starting to take the video and posting it without, you know, credit and all this stuff, and then it got picked up by, do you know Insider?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Group?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they used to be bigger online, because it was like the anniversary when I went viral the other day, and I went back to it, and so they, at one point they had like Insider Food, Insider Sport, Insider, and there was Insider like Art or Insider Creatives or something, and it got picked up by them, and they did like a little piece on me, which was like crazy, obviously. So I did some like, you know, there's like footage where you're talking to the camera and they're putting in clips and things. So yeah, that happened, which is just like really random, but like, and I guess the shop must have still been going, but that did nothing. Obviously that was a different time though, so that wouldn't have really done anything. So I went viral there, but then I went, again, depends on your definition of viral, but I had a video that got to like 300,000 on TikTok.
I think that's viral.
I'd say is, yeah.
I
always say like 200 and above. Yeah. Well, it's also so, because I always think, well, just because something can get 10 million views doesn't mean anything that doesn't get a million isn't viral, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they say anything over 10,000 views is viral, and anybody that has over 30,000 followers is technically classed as internet famous. I think that's, I remember reading something and I was like, interesting. But yeah, a little tidbit of information.
Interesting. Yeah, so, which to be fair, at points, like, I felt like quite famous, and it's a very weird, like, obviously famous in a group of people that's so niche that you're never gonna, well, I did bump into one of them actually, which was really cute, but it's not the type of thing that like people know about.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. But yeah, so that hit like 300,000. That was just a video of me. It was like one of those like whimsical, like, does anyone notice the hard work that I put into this charm? And I thought when I was making it, I thought, oh, people are going to eat this up. And then it didn't do anything for like the first day. And then, I gained followers, obviously, because that's just the type, you know, that is a big piece of content. And I think I got some sales, but really nothing really happened. And I wasn't expecting anything to. And also, I don't want to go viral and everything changed my life. I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I'm fine. But then I literally had a video. So I was, well, to be fair, I was quite proud of all the marketing of it. I posted a video. What happened? I think it was like, I had a really good drop on Instagram, on the shop. So I made a TikTok, and there's basically a quite big TikToker who is an Etsy shop who literally does like 1,500 orders in every drop. Like, she's incredible.
Wow.
And she has a very specific brand that she the joke is that she like shouts at her customers for causing her so much stress. Like, it's very hard to, she's called Acorn and Crow. It's very like hard to explain, but it's perfect. Like, and she's very like steampunky, and like the idea is that like people try and do the big box challenge where they try and order enough to like beat her biggest box and like annoy her. Like, it's an incredible like community of people.
That's so
and
great.
her tone of voice is that she sort of is like, oh, you fuckers sold me out again, like, thank you so much for this, you know. And she'll do like candid videos where she thanks everyone. So I put up a video saying, am I gonna have to shout at you guys like Acorn and Crow does? So then she commented, and I was like, perfect. So then I video replied to her comment, and basically, because she was like, yeah, shout at them, they'll just order more. And I was like, perfect, I'll take that, so people recognize her. And I did. I literally did a video where I was like, all right, I was like, at the beginning I was like, all right, like, let me see if I can do this. And then I shouted at everyone. I was like, it's just not okay to like sell me out. I have a full-time job, like, I can't do this. And then at the end I was like, but there's still stuff, you know, but I'm still going to restock, so make sure you buy or something.
Yeah.
And I literally got 15 orders in a day. And that, I don't know how much that hit, but it's nowhere even near 50. Is it? I don't, it's nowhere near 100,000. I honestly don't even think it's like, it might be in like the 10,000s.
Yeah.
But I got literally over that weekend, I think I ended up getting like 15 to like 18 orders, which, like I said, like, also just as a preference, like, I'm not a shop getting like millions of orders a day. Like, I'm, again, very open about that as well. So like 15 in a day for someone who like, it's not their full-time job, it's just something they manage to keep, you know, afloat elsewhere. You know, for a video that got, you know, just you know, like, it literally, you could have and again, that's about engagement and the content. You could have a video with like 1% views, but the big one is and it's been pushed to the wrong people. It's been pushed to people
that's the thing,
you know. So like and there is that conversation of like, well, if you're just pushing to people who have small businesses, then they're not going to buy because they have a small business. And so my audience on TikTok is a bit tricky as well. Like I'm not like a fashion brand showing you how to wear my jewelry. I'm more of a small business for small business kind of thing. But that one, that hit people who were ready to buy because they follow either Acorn and Crow, or they like appreciated the humor of the video. But 15 orders compared to a 300,000, which I don't even remember, which means that it obviously didn't do like too much more. So that again, it's just sort of those things where it's like numbers are all well and good, and I love a number,
but they don't mean anything.
But they just don't mean anything to the wrong people, in the wrong space, on the wrong platform. I find that Instagram is not something I'm focusing on because it's not getting me anywhere, and the algorithm is a struggle, and it's just, I find TikTok more interesting, and people are willing to buy on TikTok. Like I've literally had a video on TikTok that has, it hasn't even hit 100 likes, and I have a definite order that has come from that video because they've put it in the notes. They've said, just found you on TikTok, and then they've commented, just ordered, and it hasn't even had 100 views. TikTok people are ready to buy.
See, I've had that before, where I always put in the thing when someone buys something, let me know like how you found me, and someone wrote TikTok, and I thought, I don't know what video, because my videos have like 40 views, and I was like, wow, so you are right there, like they are ready to buy. I did and that's multiple times. That's not just one or two. Like I will have short videos, or I've just put them up, or whatever it might be, and people are just and they're looking to support people, and they're looking for interesting things. And obviously mine helps a bit that when it's like fake food and tiny food, that's very much something that draws people in. It's quite cool.
See, I like watching the guy that cooks the tiny food on the tiny stove, and I'm like, and it's like little tiny lasagnas, and I'm like, love it.
So it's like mine also helps see, not that necessarily the acrylic jewelry, but like that also has a factor where it's just like a bit bonkers and very strange, and obviously that's the type of thing that works better on that kind of like viral, so it's just so hard, and you'll have videos that go up and you think, oh god, it literally no one has viewed it, no one at all, and then you wake up literally 2 days later and it's at 1,000 views, and you think,
isn't it weird how that works sometimes?
So
like
weird.
Overnight.
Exactly.
We would love to know if you will have any tips for me and Laura. Like we did send you, I know, I love this. So just to preface this for anybody listening, when we do have guests on, we send them kind of like what kind of topics we want to touch. And with Ruth, we've said we'd love it if you kind of give us like a little mini like Instagram audit, maybe a little Instagram tips on suggestions that are something that is like catered to us. So I would love to know what ideas you've got.
I know what it'd be.
I had a quick scroll through.
Oh, I love this bit.
Oh well, yeah. So the issue being is, it's one of those. The issue being consistency. So you know what? I have posted once on my Instagram in the last month and a half. So it's like this is what you should be doing.
Yeah, I posted every day for 2.5 years, and I was so burnt out because
it's
my designs and what I create takes a while. Yeah. So at the end, I was just kind of churning these designs out that I weren't actually proud of, and I was like, why am I doing this? But now,
one of the things that just in general, I would say, along with the nothing is real, my other big thing would just be, you see a lot on TikTok or whoever it might be, of shops struggling because they want to create art and they hate the rest of it. Whereas obviously I love everything. I love packaging, I love owning a shop, I love running a shop. It's not just the creativeness, it's a 50-50 for me. And so my thing would just be, have an actual deep down think about it. Does it destroy your mental health to make silly videos on TikTok? Then don't go on TikTok. But but you have to obviously weigh up. Obviously, it's not my full-time job, so there's obviously a caveat that the way I'm talking is from a privileged position, that I have income that doesn't rely at all on what I'm doing online. So I know how troubling and tricky it will be if you're not making money, obviously. But it comes to a point where you have to have that conversation with yourself that yes, I would recommend TikTok, but only if it's not going to make you hate running your shop, or make you hate yourself, or make you wake up every day and think, oh god, I gotta make content, or I have to draw something new, make something new, find a joke, be funny. Or even if you don't want to show your face, if that's something you do not want to do, then just understand that they, you know, it might affect things and how far you grow or whatever it might be, but there are people who literally run shops that are just wholesale. You know, there was a shop I followed that has made the decision that unfortunately it's just a bit too tricky, but they make, you know, they do really well on wholesale, so they just don't even need, you know, there's lots of things they don't even need. So the top tip there would just be like, yes, you should have a finger in every pie possible. However, don't destroy yourself doing it, because as someone who has a full-time job and does all of this stuff, you can't do everything.
No.
I know, not to be, you know, 24, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Sort of correct, but are you, that person might be willing to destroy their relationships and their mental health to get the things. You might not be. Same hours, but it's your, I could stay up every single day, and I do, you know, I get up early from work and I pack orders, and on my lunch break I go to the post office, then when I come home I do social media. There are some days where I do that. However, there are some days that there's too much going on and I don't post on my Instagram for a month and a half, and that is a choice I've made to not destroy myself again, because I have a full-time job and it's not my life, obviously. So consistency, obviously 100% you should be consistent, but how doable is that actually?
It's not
is something that
doable
you sort of have to you know, consistency, yes, but I wasn't going to say that because I don't think I'm in a position to talk about consistency.
That's the worst thing for me, consistency.
Yeah,
the worst.
Yeah, it is, and and also that's obviously why my Instagram has suffered as well, because I take big breaks and you get you know, that Instagram is like, oh, you took a break.
But your health's more important. That's what I tell myself.
You know, and my job and my, you know, I need a social life. But, you know, sometimes, so, you know, but yeah, my thing was interesting, like, so I took a look across both of your, and I'm not gonna be able to remember which ones I saw it on. I think it was yours, Laura, but I saw loads of hashtags on some of your posts.
Yes.
And so hashtags are a really interesting topic, because literally like 2 weeks ago, last week or so, the head of Instagram literally said they don't help at all.
Oh,
like, actually
really?
They make no difference. He basically said they make no difference in someone finding you, basically.
And then like 2 weeks before that, they said use just 3.
So basically, like a few months before that, they literally said 20, and then I swear to God, a week later they were like no more than 5. Like, I genuinely, it was like then no more than 5, but it has to be in the caption. And then it was like, well, okay. And then literally a couple of weeks ago, it was like they don't help at all. However, pretty much everyone else in the social media industry has said, screw you, I'm still using hashtags. And you know, you can go on TikTok and find people who've done tests and they've said my hashtags do work. But I would say niche down on them and do less. So I would say no more than 20.
Yeah.
Keep them in the caption, because like in terms of Instagram is now more SEO than anything, so it might not be that someone's searching through illustration as a hashtag, but if someone were to type in illustration, they could find you, or if they've typed it in before and then on the explore page, you know, it's one of those things that who knows how it works, but it's one of those things where it doesn't work the same way it used to. It's not that people are scrolling through the hashtag, or because you know, you could follow a hashtag. I think you still can.
Yeah, I still do, and I get them.
Yeah. So people, it's not sort of the same way. So like you've literally got the head of Instagram being like, they don't do anything. You've got pretty much everyone in social media and marketers being like, no, I'm using them anyway. Even if they don't work, even if it's one person that finds me, but you'll see that people are condensing them. It's 5 or it's 10 or it's 20. In theory, you could get rid of them. So that also means maybe you just go down to like 10, and instead of putting illustration, it is colourful illustration. And so you've niched down.
Yeah.
So,
I like to put Manchester Illustrator, because I did it a few times.
Yeah.
And then I worked with somebody and I was like, how did you find me? And he went, I wanted to work for Manchester Illustrator. So I typed in on Instagram Manchester Illustrator, and I was like, so I'm going to use this now.
Yeah, and also your location, always put, you know, whether it's London, Manchester, you don't need to put your literal location, but like London, Manchester, France, wherever it might be, because you can search by location, you can search, but you know, and that all filters down. You've also got Manchester and a hashtag, but yeah, if you filter it all down, because you're never, even it doesn't matter how the hashtags end up working, you're not going to be seen on hashtag illustration. It has like 10 million.
I don't know why I do that.
You know, but no, but you do, because that's how it used to be, and that's sort of
because people would have to scroll
And
so
then-
far down to see it, or
Yeah.
be for some reason on that hashtag as you post it. That's the only reason why, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. So I would just say, like, it doesn't, not all of them need to be, but you could really niche it down.
Yeah.
And you can just take a look at what other, and also I'd say take a look at what other illustrators are using, because you'll see ones that you didn't know, and it's actually part of a Facebook group, or it's part of an illustration subscription, and you can use that as, you're not part of that group or whatever, but you can still use that as, so like in terms of hashtags, I'd say like keep it shorter, sweeter, and if it doesn't do anything, then you're not, once you've got your block of the ones you usually use, then if they don't work, they don't work, but I just say
Amazing.
that, keep it lower.
Also,
and
very
then-
quickly, is shadow banning a thing or not?
Instagram has always said no, because why would they? I mean, why would they? They want you to use the app, so past algorithm issues, I say that like they haven't completely screwed up their algorithm and everyone hates them, Instagram specifically. I say, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know, but why would they? It's not like you've been banned because you've done something bad. That makes sense. Why would they just ban?
Because the reason I
It might be that the algorithm,
I heard that if you use the same hashtags every time, then you get shadow banned. So that's what I like, use different ones, like, but I don't know whether that's
I would just say
with everything. It's
I would also say with hashtags, Instagram literally doesn't care about hashtags. So I would argue that that's just because there was a couple of years ago, it was like everyone needs to post this square or otherwise they're going to get shadow banned, and everyone was like falling for it like it was MSN, and I was like, what is happening right now? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I would just say it doesn't make sense. I would argue that the algorithm can F up and bury you and other things, and you're not consistent, and suddenly you come back and then you're surprised that you're getting nothing. Unfortunate reality being you're not consistent, you've fallen down, people haven't interacted, so they think you don't care enough, and you've got but it's a really tricky one. But yeah, and then my only other thing was I noticed you guys post your TikTok straight from TikTok onto Instagram with the watermark still on it.
I do not do this.
I do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember.
I just couldn't be bothered.
this.
I was trying to, and then these apps were like, you've got to pay, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to download it and put it on. I do not care.
Yeah. So my thing would be, and this is extra, obviously, and as a social media manager, I always edit when I can outside of TikTok.
Right.
So that when I have any content, so obviously I am a video editor, so this is not something that everyone can just do. The way I do it is, unless I'm using a filter, everything gets edited in an app, gets put into TikTok and voice-overed. If I then want to use that content in a different way on Instagram, I have it in the highest quality possible available to me. Sometimes I literally then download my TikTok video, use the voiceover, and then put it up, and it's obviously all one easy job. That's obviously someone who video edits and knows how to do that.
I use
just because if you
Musical Down, so it's a website that you put the link of the TikTok in and it just downloads it without a watermark, and I was like, that does the job.
Musical Down.
Yeah, and do you want to know the most annoying part? So obviously if you do that, your quality goes down slightly, which drives me absolutely crazy, which is one of the reasons I obviously do it outside. But there was a glitch on TikTok that would mean, so if you know when you hold and press to save a video, you hold and, or unless so you hold and press to save a video, or however you save it, you click the little bit in the bottom. So if you were to save someone else's video or even your own video, there's a bar at the bottom that then tells you like the percentage of when it's downloading. If you went off the app, just clicked onto your homepage, went onto a different app, came back onto the app and let it continue, there was no watermark until the update like this week.
That's annoying. But yeah, no, I just used that. I love that.
And it was good quality, and I saw that through a TikToker, and I was like, that is ridiculous. Like, how does that even work? Like that makes no sense. But the quality was good because you were downloading it straight from it. You're not going through a separate website who's getting it from blah blah. So, and I noticed TikTok had updated this week. It could have happened sooner, to be fair, because again, I don't tend to do that a lot because I don't need to, because it's edited outside of it. But I did it, and it didn't work. No matter how many times I no matter what percentage or how many times I clicked off, it was the watermark was still there, and I was like, no, that's so upsetting. But yeah, that would have been a really hot take if it was still going. But yeah, that used to be a glitch on TikTok, and then you would never have to worry about going through a downloader.
Wow.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, I would say that obviously how true it is, whether they have something scanning for TikTok watermarks, but Instagram are obviously competing with TikTok. And if they see a watermark on your video, they will not do anything to push it to anyone. It's just, you know, whether how true that is and how strategic or how militant that is, it makes sense, and it's just best practice. And also it's best practice, you know, you're on a different thing and you want to make people think that it's not secondhand, because if they don't follow you on TikTok, they'll never know it's secondhand content. And people like to think that it's new and that you've made it just for them and things. So seeing a TikTok watermark, I don't know, just might slightly.
See, for me, I
don't
think
know, it's recycled. I don't know.
I think here's my TikTok. Now you know my name. Go follow me.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If they do well, then you know this is just, you know, and also this is advice from Instagram, like I said. So do they actually have a whole new machine learning to spot out the TikTok thing? Do they actually? Who knows? But that's obviously literally actually who has a clue what they're doing at Instagram?
I don't think anybody knows. Even Instagram people don't even seem to know, because it's one thing one week and one thing the next week.
Yeah, literally. And then it's just and then it's just video. That's the way it's going. Instagram is all about video, which sucks, but short form videos, even normal videos, it's just that's the way it's going. They perform better, they get you the most followers. If you want to grow on Instagram or TikTok, it has to, well, TikTok is video, but yeah, the only way to grow on Instagram is literally video, unfortunately. Like, that's just the way it is.
So much more work.
Yeah, so whereas I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you love it, which is good.
And I love TikTok.
It is annoying because like I'll take hours like making something and I'll post it and it won't get anything, but then I'll do like a really half-assed, like shitty like click video, and that's the one that gets it, and I'm like, how does this make sense?
Yeah, and I would also say like this, that I would, along the lines of like let people cringe, I would start to take a morbid pleasure in being humbled that way. And I tell you, it helps a lot. Like, seeing a video that you've worked hard on bomb is heartbreaking. And if you just sit there and you have a good giggle and you think, okay, I'll put it on Instagram. It's not wasted.
Character building.
It's honestly, as someone who literally has 95,000, no one cares about anything I post. Like, I can't get. If I did a question box, no one answers it. Like, no one cares.
I'm scared to do it. I'm scared to do a question box.
Although, also, hot take, if you have a separate account, you can just ask a question and it doesn't, and it looks like it's from someone else.
I've actually done this before on multiple occasions because nobody's answered it, and I was like, I'll just answer it from my different account. Yeah. And I was like, do you know what? Because fake it until you make it.
Fake it till you make it. I love that we're like transparency. Everyone needs to tell the truth.
FOXANNE, I love you so much. When did you start?
If you just need the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I post things and I'd be like, let me know what product you think I should bring out next. And then either no one would reply or people would reply with the products that I haven't already made, because 95% of the time, if a company's saying, what product should I bring out next, they've already designed said product.
So let's say
mug. Let's say it was a mug and no one said mug. I would comment, be like, oh my god, mugs, and I'd be like, oh my god, sneak peek. And then I'm like, but hon, this is me.
We do it though, like on our brand, on the brands that I follow. Like every time we sort of do a launch, I make sure that there's this question. Literally, there's one going up that I need to like answer the questions for tonight. That like, it's like, do you have any questions about the launch tomorrow? And granted, usually we'll have people ask what the price is, what time it is. So then I use a countdown, and then I don't know the rest of it. What comes in it, what does the lip scrub do, what does this do, But if I haven't had someone ask how much is it, that's something I would like people to be able to scroll through and know that tomorrow they're going to be spending $16 or whatever it might be. Yeah. So, I mean, my colleagues just use it to answer very funny things, but... So I'm scrolling through and someone's been like, I did a gratitude, what are you grateful for this month? And someone was literally like in the office, and it's hard. You're just reading the stuff on. I'm not paying attention to the username, and it was my fit colleagues, and I was like, and you look at the username, and it's one of these people. Yeah. So they've taken to ask you questions, but it's just one of those things. I have no idea what we're talking about after that hot take, was it? Oh, humbling yourself. Yeah. I mean, if you don't take it, I think this is so important. This is why I freaking love this podcast, is because it's so real. No one knows what they're doing. No one has a clue what they're doing. You're not making millions from what you're doing. You guys both and that's so incredible that you've decided to, get a job to make sure that you're not killing yourselves
Yeah.
doing the thing that you love. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I love this so much, is because it is so realistic. And so the idea of just being like, I put something up and it bombed, guys, let's all have a giggle about it.
Yeah.
Like, also, and what you say, like, whenever you talk about the whole, you take it personally because you've made it, whereas if someone stocks something in a shop, it's not personal to them, so they're taking it personally. What I would use that online as well. I would be so horrifically upset if I thought, say, one of you guys was upset because I didn't see your content. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that. So you're getting upset because I haven't seen your piece of content, but I have no way. Do you know what I mean?
You don't know that content exists, so it's not.
Exactly. And granted, I can't say that for everyone. Your content might suck. You might have to have a reimagine. You might have to redo something. But if your TikTok hasn't seen someone, you miss the algorithm train. It's the wrong time of day. Someone didn't look at their follow page instead of their blah blah. Like as much as it's very easy to take it personally, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it's, you know, the content's not right, or it's blurry or whatever it might be. A lot of the times, I don't see half of the people I follow, so how is that their fault when then they don't get my like? It's one of those things where it's like, it really does hurt sometimes, and it really does suck.
I do like the new favourites option on Instagram.
So that, so now they're starting to listen to us, obviously, and we can now have a feed that's, I was going to say biological. That's a whole situation. Chronological. So they're starting to, so they're starting to, you know, like get back into realizing. But it's one of the, it's one of those things where it's like, just sit with it, be like, that is crap. Take that video and put it on Instagram. And usually my videos do better on Instagram. If it's failed on TikTok, it does great on Instagram.
I love how Instagram is like 6 weeks behind TikTok. So like if I miss the train on TikTok, I know that I'm like 2 weeks ahead on Instagram. So I'm like, come on, let's get this on now.
No, literally. But literally, you'll have people who it tanked and then they went viral on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And you're possibly doing, and that content then is doing more for you because you're putting it in two places, and maybe 2 days later it goes well on TikTok, or it never does. It stays tanked. But you will get more followers when you post it on Instagram, likely, than you will on TikTok, because you are guaranteed to be reaching people that don't follow you via Reels on Instagram than you are TikTok, which is obviously a bit of a free-for-all and the whole situation.
It's
always
TikTok,
like, just...
isn't it?
Yeah, and it's impossible, and it's literally like, I had a really great week where everything was, you know, that's the thing I talked about where the video went really well, and, you know, I was showing videos of me looking successful and they were doing really well, and then I was like, I don't have that many orders, and also I'm tired and I'm busy with work and work's crazy, and then they don't get views, and that, you know, and you have to register that that's a bit toxic. Like, people are only viewing my success, you know, when I've got loads of orders in my hands, and you think that's... So I don't really want, you know, so if this doesn't do well, then I will accept that, because that's all well and good, but just showing loads and loads of orders, that's not what I want. You know, I don't want to be known for someone that's just like one of these people that has loads of orders, if that makes sense. It's one of those things where it's like, I had a really great time, and then for no reason, the last week, everything's tanked. Then I posted 2 days ago, it tanked, and today I opened and I had 74 notifications, and it's now hit 1,000 views for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
It's literally, it was a Tuesday. Well, it's not Friday. Why did Tuesday make it bump? It's one of those things where it's like, you just have to be on the roller coaster, not take it personally, and just be able to be like, I can use that content somewhere else. Just make sure, you know, if you don't have Instagram, put it on Pinterest. If it didn't work on Instagram, you don't have TikTok, put it on Pinterest. Like, whatever it might be, you can make your content work for you so much more than, but it's a lot. Again, you have to be on top of it and know where it is. And if you're just editing on TikTok, it can be a bit tricky to get it elsewhere and things. But so whether you want to take the watermark off or not, I think that was the conversation we had.
Oh, I love it. Right, well, maybe I'll try with the watermark off, I think. Yeah. I'll try it, and I'll let you know how it goes.
You might just, you know, and also, you know, that type of thing, if it's bloody impossible, but if you know that there's a TikTok sound that you have seen on Instagram, if you can find that sound via Instagram, I would use that one via making your new
making a new
audio
that's
for
yours,
hard to find sometimes.
which is it's impossible. I don't know why they're making it so bloody hard, because it's on their own freaking app.
Yeah, with the songs it's good, but then with like the sounds, like I don't know, I'm trying to think.
But I have, because I am anal about making sure that I credit people. So like literally when I put, so obviously we've got like a really big TikTok star now, so I use a lot of trending sounds and stuff. We went viral, well actually that's my most viral TikTok. I hit 800,000, maybe 900,000 now on a TikTok I put on the brand account. And that, I was like, I want to put it on Instagram, but I was like, but I'm going to find the owner of the sound. So I will literally put, you know, original sound from TikTok from this person. People don't do that. That's really extra. But I have had my stuff stolen over and over and over and over again.
So you
my
get
designs on Etsy, my pictures, my sounds. I am so regimented. You know, picture from Pinterest. That's not credit.
No, I don't like that. People tag Pinterest in the pictures, and I'm like, no.
Did Pinterest take that picture? No, they didn't.
No,
literally. And I'm a bit ashamed, but genuinely, when people do that, and I'm not an angry person, it infuriates me. I think it's so incredibly, and I understand people might not get that that's how it works, obviously, but like, so, you know, and I have been able to hunt things down because that person is big and they have an Instagram account and they've made sure their sound is on both, and actually you've managed to work it out. It's very hard, and if you want to do the work you can sometimes, but otherwise it gets very hard. But then just make sure that if you're consuming, you're saving it, so that if you do want to do both, you know, you've got the sound that you're on that trending sound, because otherwise your original sound doesn't get you as far as if you are on a sound that people then obviously resonate with, and it'll get shown to people. So it's just it's a lot of work. I feel like all I've done is just sat here and just like say tips and then be like, but who knows?
I mean, but that's the way it is.
That's the way it is, and I think that's the best way to be, because you can't be like, this is a fact, because like in 2 months' time, maybe what you're saying might be different. Like you just got to sort of share what you think's the best right now. I guess. Yeah,
and that is where like I said, I am fortunate in that, like, that excites me. Being like, oh, how are they going to test me this week? That excites me. Whereas if I was an artist who just was doing social to sell the art and didn't, you know, that's where I understand that, like, it's so hard to keep up. And if you know, I love TikTok. I love hearing a sound and being like, well, how can I relate that to jewelry? Whereas some people just, and also it sounds to do it. You've got to be quite funny if you're going to do like trending sounds. Unless you take, you know, which you can take other people's ideas, and it's very nice. And I've credited, but you know, you credit people when you see an idea. You know, really anal about these things. I will always be like, oh, I saw this for blah blah blah. Couldn't help but do it, kind of thing. And then obviously you're making friends as well. You're also doing content, but to come up with them yourself, like I sit and I batch create TikToks from saves and saves and saves, and I have them all in different categories so that I know what my idea was when I was listening to it, and that's a lot of work. I find it very fun.
Dedicated.
It's very funny. I'm crazy. I'm absolutely insane.
I love the dedication.
Oh, literally. Yeah, but that's the difference though, is that I love it and I find it all funny and fascinating, and I'll be honest, like, I love being on camera, I love talking on camera, whereas there are some people who don't even want to put their face on camera, you know, so like, TikTok is a very challenging, do I do it or do I not do it? Do I do it with just product and see how that goes? Because you can, you know, but TikTok is about faces. You've
got to have a face to the brand, haven't you?
Yeah, which is a trend we've seen across just branding in general. They want to know the owner, the founder, where everything's coming from, transparency. They want to know the story behind a brand, you know, like big faceless brands. You know, that's not just a social media trend. This is also just a trend across branding and marketing and social media, is that there needs to be a person, usually, unless obviously you're a massive corporation and things. But even then, you know, your corporation people have accounts now that you can follow and be inspired by, and Girl Boss and all that kind of stuff.
That stuff.
I say that, you know, I hate Girl Boss, but I have like a print that's Boss Bitch, but I like that. That's not like, I feel like I don't like Girl Boss because you're just a boss, but I like Boss Bitch is like, Do you know what I mean? I hope that I'm not a hypocrite.
Taking no shit.
Everybody, that's one thing I've learned about life over the past year, that everybody is a hypocrite, and do you know what? That's all right.
Okay.
That's okay.
We're all learning. We're all
honestly
humans.
It is absolutely fine. Nothing's real. Everyone's a hypocrite. It's just do your best and assume nothing's real. Whether it's Photoshop, the feeling, the life, that's all sounds so negative. Just consume it as a good-looking piece of content.
That's true. Just appreciate it for what it is. So one thing that we're going to ask all of our guests is, what is 5 things you wish you knew sooner? So it's okay if you haven't got 5, just however many you have. Just basically, it's just a bit of advice, and I feel like we've heard of a lot of advice already.
I know, my issue is that I really struggle because I'm quite fortunate in that like I have never really had like expectations for my life, so that it wasn't like I didn't get to a thing and I had to learn that you don't get that quickly. Like I'm very go with the flow. I'm not a go with the flow person. That in terms of if someone was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hate that question because I'm quite happy to just keep going and see where it goes. I'm not, I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be, there's never been like a super grand plan for me. So in terms of like things I wish I knew, I've sort of just take things as they go. So it's kind of hard. But one of them was no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Literally.
We can vouch
which
for
again
that.
is why I love this, which is why I love this podcast so much, because you're literally here like, I don't know how taxes work, and you're like, oh, I just assumed, you see a freelancer and you're like, they must have an accountant and they must at least know how to do. I literally until this year I didn't get serious about doing my taxes, but it is literally, but in every industry as well, and even so, like again, I was a photographer for a good amount of time at work, and I was good at my job. I was good at my job, but I didn't know, and I never felt like I knew enough. The imposter syndrome was so crippling. Well, not even imposter syndrome necessarily, because I knew I was good at my job and I could get the results, but I wasn't passionate. So when I was doing these things, I was feeling very scared all the time, and like I said, I was doing results and I did enjoy my job, but there were moments and obviously it got to a point where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I am every time there's a shoot, I'm panicking because I don't know enough about the camera and all this stuff. And so you just learn on the go. I've pretty much self-taught everything that I have ever learned, or it's literally been on the job or whatever it might be. So it is just remember, like, the person you look up to is like, oh my God, I have to do that meeting. And you're just watching them do that meeting, absolutely no problem, not seeing that they're, like on Zoom fiddling with something in their fingers to make sure that they,
they're nervous,
they're on focus, or their anxiety's all right, or whatever it might be. So in that context, like, again, no one really knows what they're doing. Everyone's just doing their best. And there's always someone above the person you're admiring. There's always someone that they then think, oh God, they know what they're doing and stuff. And even in like a kind of awful way as well. Like, I've been in a lot of, I've seen a lot of industry people between retouchers and photographers and celebrity management people. And everyone is just talking crap. Like everyone is literally just trying to get stuff done and sort of taking jobs that maybe they're not even qualified for, but they're just going for it. There's that quote that it's like, isn't it like walk into every room with the confidence of like a straight white man?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you said that in the last episode.
Which I have always loved, and let's not get into sexism, and I'm not, we don't hate men here, but just statistically, societally, it's a great quote. And I'm not that person because I'm not comfortable like that. But if you walk into that room and think, that man knows less than me and he's going to get paid more than me, so I'm going to walk in and I'm going to pretend that I know everything. Again, not to your detriment, let's not do crazy, but if you think that you're not good enough for something and you sit there and you think, well, why not me? Why? Okay, I don't learn enough, but I can learn that.
Yeah.
And there's lots of jobs like we look for people, and it's not even that you know the most. We actually prefer sometimes that you actually know less than another person, and we would rather you learn on the job and that you learn with us, so you know how we do things and stuff. So it's one of these things that, like, positively and negatively, no one knows what they're doing. So definitely, basically, like, not everyone doesn't know what they're doing.
It is what it is, isn't it?
Give it a go.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's all right. That's what I tell myself. It is what it is, Laura.
Literally.
It's all right.
But yeah, I think that's a really good one to know. And it's like all the people you look up to are also like, oh God, did I like pack the SD card? Or, oh crap, I didn't use the right microphone. I hope that client isn't going to notice. Or what? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff that you just give it a go,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing. And then the other thing, I suppose, it's not necessarily something I've wish I knew, but again, it's sort of something I wish sort of everyone knew, is that, like, again, it goes back to the whole 24 hours thing. You can do everything, but do you want to do everything? I'm someone that is sat here and I manage like 8 social medias across my own and others, at work. I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I'm an author, which now obviously doesn't, the book is published, so it doesn't really do anything. I don't have to do anything necessarily now.
Yeah.
But at the time I was running a shop, writing a book, had a full-time job in a pandemic, making products, designing product, trying to stay afloat kind of thing.
You're not
it gets to a point where oh no, I don't sleep. I mean, I have insomnia, so it's just like
you might as well work.
I'm always on.
Awake.
I am always. That's the question I get a lot as well. Is like how someone asked. It was so funny. It was such a great male perspective. He was like, "How are you always talking?" And not in like a talking. He was like, "How are you always saying something everywhere?" Like he meant like in terms of like, how are you always talking on Instagram? How are you always posting on Instagram? How are you always doing something? And I was just like, I have a very obviously clearly a fast working brain, and I was just like, it just doesn't. It's obviously taxing, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where it's like, I know exactly, but it's one of those things that like I have always and will always prioritize certain things, and not to say that it's not upsetting and that I don't wish that I could always run my shop at full capacity with new products and things, but like literally you take last year, I started sitting down and really being, basically the pandemic, I was able to be at home and work in my shop, and it grew, it was literally nothing, and it grew and it spiked totally. And then like beginning of last year I had some new products and they did so well and it was amazing, like the best since university. And then I met my partner in about May, and literally my graph goes up. Because I decided that I wanted to say yes to all of my social things. It wasn't that like that I didn't want to, it wasn't that I, he took over my life, but it was like, well, I would rather go to the pub with this new person than stay at home and make new designs. That's a choice I decided to make. I could beat myself up, and obviously I was sad about it, but at the same time, you can then see where like I met him and and then my numbers have been going up again. It's just, and because it got to the end of the year, it was sort of like this, and it got to the end of the year and I thought, oh no, like a piece of me is, I feel like something's not right. I feel like I'm missing something. Got back to the shop and now we've been going up ever since kind of thing. But I took that, I could have done both. And I probably would have been miserable and break down every single week kind of thing. You can do everything if you would like to. However, there's no pressure to, and also it's never balanced. Nothing is ever balanced.
No, we always crave balance,
I'm never balanced,
but we can never get there.
Yeah, but it is a priority that, if you want to be social, but you've got the shop thing to do. Obviously, if you have commitments and shipping and orders and money and things, obviously that comes first. But it does get to a point where you just have to sit down and think, I'm doing too much. I'm someone that does too much all the time. It's all or nothing all the time. Obviously, if you maybe just have a little bit less going on. But yeah, I made the decision to not be doing everything. And that's the way I've always run everything, is that whether it's school, shop, university, or, university work is always the top. And then if there's time, everything else. And whether it's more on friends, more on a partner, or going to the gym, maybe you want to go to the gym instead of going home and shipping orders or whatever it might be. Yeah, I would say that like, you probably can. You can get up at 5 a.m. every single day and be that person.
But do you want to?
But do you want to be?
My answer
is that going to destroy
no.
you? Whereas, no, absolutely not.
5 a.m. is not for me. Let me tell you. I'm not a morning person.
I work 15 minutes from where I live. And someone asked me today when I get up, and I was like, well, when I need to leave. And they were like, what? And I was like, I swear to God, I get up about 15 minutes before I need to leave. I'm not leaving that bed until like the world is ending.
Yeah.
So 5 a.m.
No thanks.
You couldn't be kidding me. No,
Not
thank
for
you.
me.
No. So
Not
yeah.
for me.
So yeah, it's more. It's not so much like things that I wish I knew. But like, I'm very proud of that way of my, like I said, it's messy as hell, but I have always, work was always first, or whatever the priority is. It's one of those things that like, you can make yourself feel bad all you like, but actually if you were doing everything you wanted to do, would you be happy, or would you be going out of your mind?
Because you'd have no rest and no social life.
And also you're like, oh, okay, I'll get up at 5 a.m. every single day for the next 6 months and I'll hit the target. You hit the target, what's going to happen? Well, the next one, you're never going to be happy.
Yeah.
So you might as well do it slowly, healthily as you can, and enjoy it more as well. Because again, it's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right
then
at
you
the
don't
beginning.
crash and burn then.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where, or you take on a project. Like I got offered a book and I was not saying no to that.
Well, of course not.
I had a full-time job, social media to look after. We were in a pandemic, so I couldn't even go to the shoot of my my books and things and booker. So yeah, like there are some things. Obviously, there is an exception there because wasn't going to say no to that one, obviously. But you just have to take a good look at things and think, can I handle this? And if you say yes and you can't, then you've learned for the next time.
Yeah,
exactly. That some things are a bit crazy. Yeah,
I like that.
So, yeah. That's my wisdom.
I think that's a nice
Hope it was
one
helpful.
to finish on.
Yeah, that was lovely. I'm going to take that into my life now.
I feel like I've had almost like a therapy session.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know whether I've been helpful.
Honestly, the amount of information. I'm going to be editing this. Like, let me just note this down. That was amazing.
Yeah.
You're not going to see any more reels from me with TikTok watermarks on. And if you do, you can shout at me.
Yeah, I'll call you on that.
How dare you? I told you specifically.
Yes, exactly. Shout at her.
Yes,
so at the end of every episode that we have with a guest, we kind of give them some time to kind of plug anything they would like to plug, whether it's websites, Instagrams, whatever.
TikTok.
So plug away.
So we've got Instagram, which is Kawaii_Studios, and then my TikTok is the same.
We will link it anyway in the description.
Yeah, if you link it, because I might have had to move an underscore, I can't remember, but it's basically the same. And you can feel free to ask me questions, by the way, on either of those things if you want to. That's absolutely no problem, obviously. And then my spring collection will have launched on my shop. I'm not going to give a date because we're not about that. And we're not stressing about it. Because it was meant to come out a month ago and then it was meant to come out this weekend and it hasn't. So I'm not going to... It will be out 100%. However, I'm not sure when it would have been out, but hopefully by this point it is. And if not, then just head to my Instagram and I'll probably be letting you know when it is out because we're not stressing, as I said. But so that'll be like cute iridescent acrylic earrings shaped like flowers and sakuras and all that kind of stuff. So...
You, Hawaii.
You.
And then I have a personal account which is public, and then I have a blogging account which is public. But you can find me through the web of everything, and there's no. You can choose to whether to listen to me on all the rest of it because I can get very annoying.
Don't you worry. We'll be following them all.
This so much.
I have. This has been so informative.
I know.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah,
but there's there's a part of me that's like, was any of that useful?
Yes.
It's just
see, this is the thing, because it's your day to day, and this is what you just know as like general knowledge. Like you don't realise how great that knowledge is.
Yeah. And also, like I said, it changes, and then I've literally given you advice that doesn't stick, and you're like, no one knows what they're doing.
Well, exactly. It goes back to that at the end. Everybody's winging it. No one's 100%.
Everyone's doing their best, exactly.
As long as you're trying your best, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening. If you have tuned in for this episode, make sure to give everybody a follow, please. And we will see. Is there anything else that we need to add? I don't think there is there?
I don't think so. But thanks so much for listening or watching.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing episode. Thank you so much, Ruth, for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time
Thank you for having me.
It's been amazing, and really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I just said that twice.
So
that's because you're so appreciative.
I am. Yeah, we are. We're so appreciative.
So tune in next week for another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast.
Bye.